didn't play my. Alrighty then. It kind of, sort of, kind of. I don't know what they're waiting on. Some non-retrial news. Rest Armor, Hannah Gutierrez Reed was released a few months early this past weekend. She will be on probation until May 2026. She is returning to her home in Arizona. Oh, Buzz is that Proctor has not responded to a subpoena and is MIA. Today is Klondike Bar Day. Happy Klondike Bar Day, y'all. What trial was continued until November 5th? This trial? I don't know what they're doing, but I ain't liking today at all. Today is ticking me off. After my disappointing weekend, today is not making it any better. Hi, 80s. Boop. Oh, I almost booped your nose, but you put your head down too fast. What? What, baby? What? What? What do you want? Huh? What, baby? You just want me? Okay, we have the fan again, finally. And the awful music stopped. What would you do for a Klondike bar? I am going to do her. I know nothing about that case. I wanted to go in fresh like a juror. I don't know why, because I usually at least know the basics. Come on, StreamYard. Don't tell me to wait. I at least know the basics. Like I'll watch a 48 hours episode or something like that. I've not even done that. I know there were 4 college students that died in Idaho. That's all I know. Literally. And that they found a nice knife sheath that had bright Are you kidding me? I thought I got free membership gifting. How come it's not showing up? I can't even gift memberships. Dang it.
Dr. Welcher, when we left off, you had given us your opinion on this slide. Could we proceed to slide 35, please?
Slide 35.
The next slide is 35?
Correct.
Okay. Now, when we look at this slide, I'm going to ask you to zoom in, and if we can start from left to right, and we can identify each category as you discuss it and explain to us the importance of the columns.
So we already touched on this from left to right. The first column is the continuous running clock. Second column is where I converted it to minutes and seconds. You can see we're on trigger 1162.2. This is the second trigger. The particular boxes that are highlighted are where there's change. For example, in the upper right, when you're transitioning from drive to neutral to reverse. And then I already discussed this a little bit, but where the wheel's slipping, you can see you have high acceleration pedal application, increase in the RPMs. But when you look at the effects on the vehicle, you can see that it's accelerating less. So that's indicative of slippage of the wheels. And then I simply show at the bottom the math I use to derive all that. So again, we touched on corrected for the speed.
If you could zoom in for a second on the RPM column.
RPM column, go ahead.
If you could zoom in.
Oops.
You see in the last line, the last piece of data captured, the RPMs changed from 3,200 to 3,300.
Correct.
And the accelerators is, if fair to say, is that depressed? What's the way you characterize that?
Sustained.
How would you characterize 74? What does that mean?
I mean, it's 3/4 of full throttle. It's 74% of full throttle.
If above it's 74.5, it drops to 73.5 and then back to 74. Why is the RPM higher than above?
So there's, again, this data is referred to as being asynchronous. You're reporting it at particular times, but the computer's scanning the network for the data. So it's not all on exactly the same time step. Not only that, but there's frequently, oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
There frequently is a delay from when you step on the accelerator pedal to when that translates to increased RPM at the engine. It takes a little time to build it up or take it down.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So similar to what we did on the first one, basically what we did is we took all the text stream data that we had, which includes the shifting, the forward, the reverse, and the steering. Again, there was a tiny bit of leftward steer, and put that into a simulation program where we're simulating what the Lexus will do. So we've taken into account the mechanical characteristics, the steering response of the Lexus. So this is to show what it represents on the left-hand side. So each one of these little hash marks, different color, represents 10 feet. The red lines show the extent of motion, Remember what I said, initially pulled forward, then backed up past its initial spot, and then went backwards further distance. So what this shows is where we simulated this in a program called HVE. So that's the vehicle, the Lexus pulling forward. And then it accelerated in reverse past its initial starting position. And
Came to rest there. Do you
I'm
have
sorry.
data that the defendant's Lexus stopped there?
no, it did not come to rest. That I misspoke. That's where the tech stream data ends. As you can see here, it's still going.
She said we were going to go full days this week.
Data. It doesn't take anything outside the window. You can see that when we account for the wheel slippage, that 4% throttle, 3,300 revolutions per minute,
Yeah, they
and is
give
going
10 for a month.
backwards, approximately 23.9 miles per hour. And you can see it's traveled a total distance backwards of 53 feet back from where it initially started. Or if you consider where it pulled forward 34 feet and then backed up 53 feet,
I was trying to
add those
get
two
80,
together
but it didn't work.
from the point it pulled all the way forward. So this is 10. And then I'll go 10, 20, 30, 40, 53 back. For a total of 87 feet. So from the maximum point up, 34 feet forward, then a total of 53 back, total travel distance of 87 feet. So went all the way forward where it stopped, it then backed up 87 feet. And when the tech stream data stopped, it's still moving. It's still moving about 23 miles an hour. And you're still at 74% throttle and 3,300 revolutions per minute on the tachometer, RPM gauge.
We could turn the light on for a moment. Dr. Welcher, in your analysis of the data and the information relied upon defendant's Lexus that evening,
I did.
as part of that opinion, you mentioned that you considered mileage to map distances as one way of mapping the location of the vehicle. Do you remember that?
I do.
If you could provide us with slide. I believe it's slide 25. And could you widen the left-hand box a little bit? And you mentioned you measured or you ran information. Meadows, the first box. Do you see that?
I do.
There are 3 different mileage numbers.
Yes.
And then there's streets to the left. Can you explain what's set out in that box?
Sure. It's basically 3 different routes you can go. Sherman Street, Pleasant Street, Washington, and Sherman Street.
Great. Did you attempt to determine how long it would take to travel 2.3 miles how fast the car would have to be moving or how slowly it would have to be moving to travel 2.3 miles in 4 minutes and 15 seconds?
Yes.
And what did you determine?
So to go 2.3 miles in 4 minutes and 15 seconds, you would need an average speed of 32.47 miles an hour.
What if you took the longest route, 2.8 miles in 4 minutes and 15 seconds? Lexus would need to be travel that distance in that
Correct.
time? Now, turning to your study of these extreme events, do you have an opinion, to a reasonable degree it's occurred, how many triggering events occurred in that ignition cycle 1162?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow that.
In 1162, the tech stream recorded 2 triggering events.
Spike Dwayne.
And do you have an opinion
A minute. Young man.
as to the type of 2 triggering events?
I do.
Regarding the first triggering event, 1162-1, do you have an opinion, to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, what type of event the first triggering event was?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow that.
The actual trigger was excessive rearward acceleration. The event was during the course of a 3-point turn.
And do you have an opinion, triggering event 1 and triggering event 2 in that cycle 1162?
Yes.
And could you share with the jury your opinion, to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, the time between those 2 triggering events? Do you have an opinion, type and triggering event
Carlos saying that.
of the second event, 1162-2?
I do.
And could you share with the jury your opinion, to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, the type of event to that second triggering event?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow it.
It's, again, the trigger event itself was a transition into reverse and then high throttle application. It's a forward motion followed by a lengthy high-speed rear impact. Or
Portion of the answer.
Yes, get the answer again.
Would you like me to ask the question again, Your Honor?
Yes, Mr. Lessie, yes, right. I'll strike the previous
And then he went on.
answer. Go ahead and ask
So he's tucked
the question again.
in the bed. He better. Apparently, StreamYard did not like me complaining about my dog. StreamYard, if your dog peed and pooped in your house, you would complain about it too. He's afraid of something outside. I don't know what it is. So I guess I don't blame him. If I was a little dog and I was afraid of something outside, I'd probably poop in the house too. I'm just tired of cleaning up his poop. And the smell. Ugh. My house stinks. We shampoo the carpet a lot. A lot. And it still stinks.
yes,
Could you share your opinion with the jury?
the triggering event was high throttle opening in a transition to reverse. It's a forward motion followed by a higher speed rear motion. And at the end of the trigger event, you're still at 74% throttle.
Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, entire captured in that 10-second maneuver or 1162?
Do I have, can
Do you have an opinion to a degree of engineering?
captures what's going on during the trigger? It doesn't capture before or after the trigger.
Understood. Do you have an opinion as to just what is captured as far as the distance?
Yes,
And what is your opinion?
that it's 87 feet. So again, the initial forward motion is 34 feet, followed by it backing, crossing the initial point, and then backing up an additional 53 feet.
And finally, regarding this part of your analysis, do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty as to whether the defendant's Lexus was decelerating, accelerating, or remaining the same at the end of that data captured at the triggering event 1162-2?
It was accelerating at 74% throttle.
In addition to your analysis of the text stream data, one final question. Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty the relative time this backing maneuver occurred with the defendant's Lexus that you just spoke? Engineering certainty.
Sure, it matches the window of the cell phone data for you. So the backing event occurred somewhere between 12:32:04 and 12:32:12.
So I
end
now
of the
want to
event.
turn to a different part of your study of this case.
Okay.
At some point, did you try to determine whether there was an intervening event that could have caused damage to the defendant's right rear taillight separate from a collision at Fairview?
I did.
Objection, Your Honor.
So the form of the question is to Brennan.
Okay. At some point, when you looked at the data and analyzed this case, did you, including evidence, or did you analyze evidence to reach a conclusion, including or excluding whether there was an intervening event that caused damage to the defendant's Lexus right rear taillight? What information to analyze to include or exclude?
Backing incident, and then I'm looking at Mr. O'Keefe's injuries and how they relate to the events, potentially. So the second prong, which is looking at this data. So I had a Ring doorbell video showing Miss Reed backing the Lexus out of Mr. O'Keefe's residence at approximately 5 o'clock in the morning. And so we wanted to look at the backing activity and whether that contacting Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle
Asked to reach a certain conclusion?
never.
Was there ever any influence other than the data and facts on your analysis? Ever studies you undertook that you'll explain to the jury, were you given any direction or limitations on what you could or should do?
Thank you so much. Wow, 3 months. I have members for 3 months. Thank you, Carla. That's so cool. 3 whole months. Yay. Thank you, guys.
When you received the information, did you understand, regardless of the result, it would be provided to everybody?
I guess generally whatever you.
Engaged in that study, had you had an opportunity to review the ring video footage from Mr. O'Keefe's home on the morning of January 29th, 2022?
Yes.
Tell us how you went through your study, how you began and the steps you took, please.
Sure. Probably be best on the slides. First did was to get an exemplar Lexus. What does exemplar mean? It just means that you make and model vehicle as Miss Reed. So Miss Reed's vehicle is on the left-hand side, taken during my inspection. And then I found this exact same year, make, model, manufactured at the same plant, everything Lexus in Texas. So even though it looks like a European plate, it's a California. So I verified that the Lexus is in fact the one I got, the same exact one.
Yay, Terry. Yay. Oh, you have a Muppet. Cool. I like that. You guys all should be at 3 months. I can't believe it's been 3 months that I've had memberships. That's crazy. Thank you, Carla. I love doing this. I love it. It's so much fun. Except for days like this. Oh, just because. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's fun except on days like this. Days like this is a bummer because it's boring. I don't think we're going to get to cross today. I want to get to cross today because this is boring as hell.
Extreme runs. I also ran it through my Lexus, which is the Lexus website. And then started about doing what's referred to as a photogrammetric analysis of the video.
Can you explain to us what a photogrammetric
is a photogrammetric analysis.
What does that mean?
It's just a big fancy word to saying you're looking at dimensional information about the photographs or convert it to a three-dimensional space. In other words, be able to get exact three-dimensional measurements out of that two-dimensional image. So I had the video just to show the provided video that I was given. I don't know if you actually is contact between the vehicles. So one of the first things we want is are played per second. Your standard movie is 25 frames a second. You know, a modern IMAX is like 60 frames a second. The frame rate of the camera, how played really fast, so it looks like motion. And so determining the time between each frame tells you how much time occurred. So if you're taking move, distance divided by time, we got 19 frames a second. Specific program called Axon Investigate, publicly available program called FF.
Judy, thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know what's up with StreamYard today. It's being extra weird because usually it crashes when I'm trying to make it do stuff. I'm not even doing anything and it's just like, nope, not going to work today. Thank you so much, though. You guys are amazing. Absolutely amazing. I think we have some lurkers in here today. I hope some of you guys got memberships. Everybody make sure their memberships are turned on. I don't remember how to do that. I used to know. I think, well, I'm on StreamYard. I'm not on my channel, so I don't know. You used to be able, you could click the little gift thing at the top, and then it would tell you whether or not your memberships were, like click where the person gave a membership, and then it will tell you if your membership gifting is turned off or on. I think it only works if you're on a computer, though. Oh, yay, Kimby. I love Kimby.
The program media info, 19.8 frames a second. Anyways, 5 different sources, we're getting 19.8 frames a second. So then what we've done is add how many seconds each frame represents. We now put a clock back in to tie that into time. So it's the same exact video, except we have a frame counter now.
StreamYard, seriously.
The time, but there's frame 0, frame 265 or 13 seconds. Brake lights on the back wall.
Darn it. StreamYard,
Turned
stop.
off at frame 353. 356.
StreamYard
Comes to a complete
tipping
stop at frame 369. .384. The reverse lights turn off. So now look how red this is because we no longer have the white reverse lights in it. And 25, this is after the Lexus has left the scene. But notice the tracks in the snow or the wheels of the Lexus. We lay over a grid on the various frames. So we then took the images and did what's called clarification, which is where you use of the same vehicle, and it helps sharpen the image, but it slightly dulls the color. So you get a little cleaner, crisper image. So here's Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle before clarification, after clarification.
Excuse me, Your Honor, pardon my interruption. Can we get numbers of the slides as we're toggling back and forth?
Sure.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll make an effort. So slide 76. You're welcome. Going to slide 77. We're going to focus in on this area here. So what was displaced in these two spots? Spots right across from here and right across from here. If you could focus your attention on those. Slide 77. So slide 78. To bring us all together, we went out to Mr. O'Keefe's residence and took a scan, a laser scan. So you see the laser scanner over here. Laser scanner is right here. Fence hasn't changed position. The camera's changed a slight position. We can account for that. So here's the subject video. We have the correct resolution. There's a new camera. It's going slightly faster frame rate. That just means we have different times between frames on the new camera, but we're simply using it for calibration to the old camera. It's the same container for the MP4, and it's using the same video codec. A video codec is how the computer encodes the video.
Slide number.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Your Honor. Slide 79. Slide 79, part 2. So really, we care most. You can see these are what are called control points. So from the laser scan, we locate these various points. So the 3D scanner knows the exact position. And so what we can do is use this information in conjunction with the video to create a scaled version of the video. So when we have three-dimensional images or three-dimensional measurements, we can then use that to give us some three-dimensional information from our 2D video. Slide 81. Slide 82, excuse me, slide 81, second part. We're basically just fading in. So what you see now, if I go back to the beginning of slide 81, this is the picture from the video camera. And then what you see here is, which is barely any difference, and that's because what we've done is we've now overlaid the points, we know the exact 3D coordinates of those. So we can now know the exact position of all these fence posts, all the position. Going to slide 82. So using that information, it's called solving for the camera. We verify that we have appropriate residual.
I am hating StreamYard today. Big time, big time, big time. I'm just sitting back, not even doing anything, and it's glitching on me.
This is the subject video with the control points overlaid on it. Video where we're phasing in the laser scans of the scene, 84. So this is both on slide 84. I'm just toggling between. What I'm trying to illustrate is how well we were able to overlay the point cloud onto the video data. Watch one of these fence post points up here while I talk. There's a laser scan. There's the video. So we've done a good job. Again, the residuals show that we've done an adequate job of matching the data. Slide 85. So what I'm doing here is toggling between, this is the video of the car. Remember I told you I went out and I inspected Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle and did a laser scan of it? So we're now taking that laser scan of the video
I'm so sorry, guys. I took the banner off in case that's what's making it crash.
we have the tire tracks. We can create and take data points along, create a map of those. So green is the right rear. Again, the vehicle's backing out, coming, slide 87, coming out this direction, backing here, stopping, pulling. Pulling forward towards the bottom of the screen. Backing out here, pulling forward like here. Slide 88. So this is the Lexus lined up. This is when the Lexus has come to a complete stop. So this would be maximum engagement. Again, this is just toggling frame 88, showing that we have the time and the frame number. 369 on the same slide. We've now overlaid the Lexus laser scans on top of the image of the Lexus. So there's the video image, a still image that we took from the video. And here's where we overlay the laser scan of the Lexus. So we've overlaid the laser scan of the Lexus onto the Lexus. We've overlaid the laser scan of the Chevrolet onto the Chevrolet. And we've overlaid the laser scan of the scene onto the scene. So now what that allows us to do, we now know the position of everything in there. And we've also tracked the position of the tire tracks. So that's what it looks like if you overlay the computer model of Ms. Reed's vehicle onto the tire tracks.
Slide number, please.
Oh, my apologies, Your Honor. Slide 89. And then I'm just talking. You can see how the tire positions match up. Another toggle of slide 89. The tire positions line up with where the end of the snow was. From all that information, again, we lined it up in the video, we lined it up in the angle of the vehicle. We can get the degree of overlap, the impact configuration.
StreamYard, I have had it. Behave yourself.
And it's hard to see because of the angles and because these vehicles are not at right angles to each other. The exact contact. Now I mentioned, and we're on slide 94 now, that contact on the rear of the Chevy Traverse. So we took a whole bunch of data points within those two areas where the snow got dislodged, and we're looking at
Why is this so
where that is. So if you look at that on the vehicle, so this is where it is on the rear of Mr. O'Keefe's Chevrolet. You see it's about 25 and a half inches above ground, 32 and a half inches above ground. Here's Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. So these marks are kind of, this is the Chevy Traverse words, are approximately right here. Again, I had the opportunity to inspect Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. There's no damage where these marks are. So sure, it knocked the snow off, but it wasn't sufficient to cause damage to his vehicle. We then mapped that data onto Miss Reed's vehicle to look at where that height is. So you can see the only contact marks are down at the bumper level. I mentioned how that bumper sticks out. This is exactly where you'd expect it. So the only evidence of contact is nowhere near the upper taillight. I emphasize the word upper taillight because it is right in line with the lower taillight, but yet the lower taillight also was not broken. So again, 25 and a half, that's 24 right here, 25 and a half. That's 24 right here, 25, 25 and a half. That's right where that scuff mark was. It's also right at, again, the level at the top of that light. This light is not broken. I've looked at the front of it. I've looked at the back of it. I've looked all around it. It's not broken, and it sticks out further than the light above it. So using those positions, matching the overlay of the vehicles, we can get the speeds from that. We know where the Lexus is. We know how much time it is between each frame. So we know how far it moved. And so what we know is that when it first came to a stop, right before that, it was going about 0.7 miles per hour. So realistically, somewhere between a half to 1 mile an hour, just to account for some variations, but definitely going 1 mile an hour or less at impact.
Slide number, please.
Oh, thank you, Your Honor. Slide 99. That's the dimensions. Slide 102. Similar to what I said, no damage to that light, no damage to Mr. O'Keefe's Traverse in that area. And then if I could, I would like to go back because I realized I skipped over something. So this is slide 85. So this is Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle before contact. Huh.
Well, Melanie Little was on
I don't know what happened.
Lawyer, he's never seen a car accident where there were no leg injuries. And I said that as a nurse. So I've never seen it. You always have leg injuries. Always.
The slide shows that
Especially
there was snow here. Now there's no.
Especially if you're thrown that far and if you land on your hips or your legs, you're going to have broken bones. If you're thrown that far, I mean, what did Super Paul say? He was pirouetted and thrown 30 feet? You're going to have broken bones if you land like that.
No snow there.
Dr. Welcher, did you look on the driveway after the touching between the two cars to see if you could see anything on the snow at the back of Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle?
So referring to this slide, this is after the Lexus has pulled away. Looking in the snow, I see nothing in the snow.
Were you looking for anything in particular?
Of course I was. I was looking for taillight fragments.
In any
She
of
left
the
his
videos?
house at like 5 something in the morning when she realized he was missing. So the defense is saying this is where she cracked her taillight. So this guy is saying this is not where she cracked her taillight. They're trying to prove that she cracked her taillight the night before when she hit him. But I don't think she hit him. I don't think this matters.
Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle after the defendant's Lexus touches it. Do you ever see any remnant or shards or fragments of taillight on the ground?
I do not.
Yeah.
When you did your analysis and study, trying to include or exclude this touching as the source of damage to the defendant's Lexus rear right taillight, did you consider speed as part of that analysis?
I did. I considered speed, and then again, knowing we have the positions of the vehicle, we looked at the degree of overlap, and there's only about 2 to 3 millimeters of overlap between the vehicles, which is insufficient to cause the tail light that's recessed in from the edge on the right rear of the Lexus to contact.
I thought we were going to see that too. So if he's going to now go from this to that reconstruction, I thought this is where we were going with the backup stuff. Didn't he say she accelerated 70 something feet or whatever? I thought that was when she hit him. So now why are we in his driveway or whatever? What are we doing here? Are we going to get to cross today? I'm confused.
Rear of the Chevrolet.
Considering all the data analysis that you did you come to a conclusion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty whether the right rear taillight of Miss Reed's Lexus was broken or damaged during the contact with Mr. O'Keefe's car at around 5:07 a.m. on January 29, 2022?
That impact did not break or crack that taillight.
Is that your opinion?
That's my opinion.
Is that to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty?
That's to a high degree of engineering certainty.
You mentioned there were 3 areas of study, and we've been through 2.
Correct.
Could you tell us what you focused on your 3rd area of study regarding this case?
So the 3rd area of study, I'm now focusing in on the injuries, the at-scene physical evidence, taillight fragments, broken glass, things of that nature.
Okay, and when you conducted your studies and reached conclusions, did you, in your PowerPoint, provide slides to help explain your process and inevitably your conclusions?
Yes, sir.
If you can take us through the 3rd section of your efforts regarding this case, specifically your efforts to identify the different pieces of evidence and your conclusions about a collision in this case.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Slide
here we go.
104.
Please.
So this is a,
Is this 105, Dr. Welcher?
I'm sorry, 105. Yes, sorry. Slide 105. This is a picture of Mr. O'Keefe's right arm, forearm, hand, and wrist. In anatomy, your arm is defined from your shoulder to your elbow, and then from your elbow to your wrist is your forearm, and then this is your hand. So technically, when you say arm, it really means from your elbow to your shoulder. Most people call this whole thing arm. It's actually the upper extremity. Arm is from shoulder to elbow, elbow to wrist is forearm and hand. So you can see I wrote arm and forearm. So arm, elbow to shoulder, elbow to wrist is forearm. So looking at the injuries to Mr. O'Keefe's arm, forearm, as well as his hand. So this is me. I'm actually 6 feet, half inch, which he's 73 inches tall. That's 6 feet, 1 inch tall. At this time, I was 220 pounds. Mr. O'Keefe at the time of this incident was 216 pounds. So I took, making as Mr. O'Keefe, the same brand and size shirt of Mr. O'Keefe. You see the Lexus in the background. We have matched the height to the Lexus. What I'm showing here is both my height, and then keep in mind where wing is relative to my right eye. So now I'm wearing, in addition to the same shirt and shoes, same type of sweatshirt, and actually the same kind of baseball hat. We tried to determine the exact glass, getting different ones at different times, but I ordered my glass from the same distributor that Waterfall Grill ordered their glasses from. So you can see in my right hand here, I have a glass. Here's a glass. It looks similar. It's from the same location. And then in the lower right photograph, what I've done is I've rolled up my sleeve, taken the sweatshirt off, and I'm going to look at how this contact pattern lines up. So the first set of slides, I'm simply standing next to the Lexus. We know we have a broken taillight. We know how scratches on Mr. O'Keefe's arm. I'm seeing how those may or may not relate to the height and position of the taillight.
Dr. Welcher, if you could back up one slide, I have a question for you. In the middle photograph, at the top of the Lexus, there's like a rim. What do you call that?
I call it a wind wing. I mean, it could be a wing.
Okay, thank you.
Air dam would be another. Okay, so I then set about to do a little bit of testing with the Lexus. The first test you're going to see is me just walking backwards, or actually sideways, into the Lexus. What I've done is I've painted the Lexus right rear tail light with what's called grease paint. Kind of sort of like paint, but it doesn't dry. And then I have backed up sideways, side shuffled into the Lexus with my arm out, see what the damage pattern looks like, or basically where someone of Mr. O'Keefe's height's arm would contact the rear tail light. So then what you see is I've shown the photographs again. I show the paint transfer onto my arm. The yellow grease paint on my hand was to show where my hand would hit the taillight. And so just kind of me walking slowly sideways into it, the approximate location of the taillight, and I'll line it up with the broken taillight in a second, lines up with the approximate location of the lacerations on Mr. O'Keefe's arm.
Dr. Welch, let me ask you a question. When you're engaging these demonstrations, are you attempting to try to show exactly how Mr. O'Keefe was struck?
No, impact extremely sensitive to exact angles and where exactly your foot, whether your foot's off the ground, can have an effect on where you end up after that. We just don't have enough information in this case to determine all that information. We know the taillight was broken. We know the glass was broken. We know we have damage to the rear of the Lexus. We know we have lacerations in Mr. O'Keefe's arm. So I'm trying to see if there's any correlation between all those.
Well, can body posture on a clip or a side swipe collision change the trajectory or the injury?
Of course.
Can the way somebody moves or reacts before impact change it?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
What are other things that can change the trajectory of the person and the injuries?
So for example, if you get hit and knocked off balance or clipped and knocked off balance, you can take additional steps. That'll affect how far your body travels. If you have one foot on the ground versus the other foot on the ground, affects how the body rotates. If your arm is at 90 degrees or 85 degrees, will affect the kinematics. We attempted to model different possibilities, and we're getting results that were all over the map. Small changes in the pedestrian position give you huge data. We don't know exactly when in the tech stream data he was hit. So we don't even know the exact impact speed. In most pedestrian reconstructions, you typically have a point where the impact occurred, like where the person was, like in the crosswalk, for example, and they get hit and their tire. You then can look at how far they were thrown, and using some laws of physics, calculate how fast the car had to be going. Well, we don't have that in this case. We don't know exactly where Mr. O'Keefe was on the roadway when this happened. Sorry, I'm about to go to the next slide. No.
Without having
Wasn't.
an exact point of impact or an exact speed or an exact body position, are you able to specifically replicate the actual collision in the way Mr. O'Keefe's body would move?
Exactly replicate? No. And again, in terms of how he would move, again, we don't know where exactly on the roadway he started. So in terms of how he moved, that's a function of where he started. We don't know if when he was clipped, he took an additional step backwards. So change how far you are off the roadway. Even a two rotation of the body. So depending on the speed, the higher the speed, the more rotation. So if I may, so slide 111, this is simply showing where I walk sideways, how this lines up with the location of the lacerations on Mr. O'Keefe's arm. The post-con.
Come on, StreamYard. You can do it. I have faith in you. You can do this.
Let's have the car drive into me. I did this at very low speeds. And you'll see, and we'll throw this from two different angles. That's me showing I'm doing test 2. Impact. But even a 2-mile-an-hour impact redirects me back and causes me to rotate and take a step.
Rhonda, can we approach, please?
Yes.
No, because he was want to make. You can't tell exactly because all of that is just supposition. I think the best evidence I think was bad for the Commonwealth. He saw Karen in the car alone by herself and did not see John O'Keefe anywhere.
About 2 miles.
Oh, wait. So, where did John O'Keefe disappear to? Lebanon. But he didn't go in the house. Where the heck did he go? Did he just disappear?
And what slide is this? I think I just can't see it.
Look,
One moment, Dr. Welcher. When you were showing us this video,
Exactly.
you walked
They need
to the
busted.
side of the
You don't
passenger
do these
side
kind of
the car,
experiments
didn't you?
on yourself.
And why did you do that?
Buster.
I was just
In no way were you trying to imitate or give a demonstration of what you believed Mr. O'Keefe's movements to be.
Oh, no. This speed's just 2 miles an hour. I was having a discussion.
Walked up to the passenger side. It wasn't to replicate a study or a movement or give an opinion.
No, that walking
Simply,
had nothing to do with this case except for me instructing the driver what to do.
Thank you for that clarification.
Sorry about that.
No apology necessary. Could you go back to the beginning when you were explaining this so we can go through it?
So again, this
He
is
does.
the
He's making all
view
this
from
up.
behind.
There's no,
Just
Nobody
to
knows where
avoid
he
the
was.
confusion, I will start it here.
What speed is the car traveling?
all right, StreamYard,
You can
stop
see
it.
it
By car.
about 2 miles an hour.
Excuse me, Your Honor, that is the objection that we spoke about.
Oh,
and that I-
okay. All right, so that's noted, Mr. Lessing.
So similar to the other test, this is the post-contact image of the transfers onto my arm. Actually, yellow paint. You can see from my hand is here. Here's the paint transfer pattern.
And that slide number,
I'm
Dr.
sorry,
Welcher?
I'm terrible with that.
That's
Slide
okay.
116 now, that was 115.
Thank you.
Slide 116. What I've done is I've given these yellow lines to show the extent of the components on the rear of the exemplar Lexus.
I knew that was coming. This guy is making up what happened because we don't know what happened. We don't know where John O'Keefe was standing. We don't, like he said, if we knew where he was standing when he was hit, we could use calculations to figure out how fast the car was going when he was hit, because of we would know where he was hit and where he landed. We could figure out with physics calculations how fast the car was going, but we don't know where he was hit. If it'd been like a pedestrian in a crosswalk, we could figure out where he was hit to where he landed, then we could figure out the speed of the car. But we can't because we don't know where he was hit. So for him to say that he was standing there and he got sideswiped, his arm got sideswiped by the broken tail light, or I guess supposedly his arm broke the tail light. I don't know. He's making it up. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. He has no idea. That's the whole point. I mean, and he absolutely just said that. We don't know. We don't know. He just said that. We don't know. So, no, he's not. He's not from where I'm sitting. I mean, I know too much. Like, I watched the whole last trial and everything. And I already know what ARCA's going to testify to. But he's making it up. Is anybody else agreeing with me on this? Because he just said we don't know where he was standing. We don't know where he was hit.
Mr. O'Keefe's arm was bent, what angle it was bent at?
Not exactly, but for these to be taillight shard fragments, they would need to be in the area.
Because, Nancy, they have to do something, and they can't use Trooper Paul, because they used Trooper Paul last time, and Trooper Paul, he just said, the crime scene spoke to me, and it just did. Like, he didn't use any science at all. He didn't even know how to do the physics calculations. He said, what do you mean physics? He didn't even know anything. So they had to get a science person. So they got this doctorate, and he's doing the calculations correctly. None of his science is bad. It's just that he doesn't know, because he can't know, because we don't know where John O'Keefe was. He wasn't, I don't believe he was hit, but if he was hit, we still don't know where he was, because somehow, how many people were there that night? Nobody saw him after he got out of Karen Reed's car that night. He just disappeared. Because everybody that was in the house says he didn't go in the house. And everybody that saw Karen Reed in her car saw her in her car by herself. So he just disappeared after he got out of her car. Nobody saw anything. So we have no idea what happened. And he's just guessing as to how she hit him. Why won't Runkle be on until tomorrow?
From the police photographs that there was a damage to the rear body panel in the area I'm searching here. So it's possible his arm was a little higher up and the glass hit the rear of the Lexus and caused that damage.
In the bottom right,
Excuse me, Your Honor, objection and speculation.
I will strike that last part about the glass.
Thank you.
the purpose of the circle is for Dr. Wiltshire.
So it's primarily the location of the lacerations up on the arm, the upper part of the arm, and that they match up with the locations of at least the one remaining shard in the rear tail light of Miss Reed's Lexus.
Looking at the picture of the Lexus, bottom right, middle, are there any marks?
Slide.
Thank you.
Actually, it's 2 slides. So there with the approximate height of Mr. O'Keefe's right hip. So then
Dang it, StreamYard, please stop misbehaving now. Dag nabbit. Stupid thing. He's bringing out the country girl now. I'm getting pissed.
photograph of the rear tail light showing where some of the fragments are. You can see where those fragments are relative to the curvature of the tail light. They'd be in the area somewhat centered within the region of the 2 yellow lines on slide 119.
Is there anything about it? Show us.
So again, it's showing that this is when it's, I believe, in the Sally Port scuff on the right rear body panel.
Did you see any similar scuffs in the middle back of the car?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Did you see anything notable as far as damage to the middle back of this Lexus?
The middle,
Yes,
like back where the doors are,
but with the middle of the back of the car, did you see any symbol?
along the bumper.
Okay, continue, please.
Yeah. Do you know if they were
So
there
this is showing his jacket he was wearing,
before?
that the puncture marks coincide to the mark on his arm. This is from the autopsy report. A couple things it notes: a 1/2 centimeter abrasion on his right lateral knee. He's got a laceration
Damn it, StreamYard. StreamYard, you're making me lose people. Stop.
And how high was that wing from the ground on the back of the Lexus?
It was about
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you notice anything about Mr. O'Keefe's?
An abrasion on the right lateral knee.
Did you note how high from his foot that bruise was on his knee?
We don't know the exact length of his knee. The abrasion appears to be, if you go back and get where my knee is, that would be at the approximate level of the bumper.
Could you focus in on the bumper to show it relative to the height of your knee?
So my knee is approximately right here. This is where the bumper is. So the side of Mr. O'Keefe's knee. You're welcome.
Engineering certainty about the lacerations on Mr. O'Keefe's right arm and forearm regarding its orientation relative to.
Yes, Your Honor, may I report? The location on an arm are consistent with the geometry and orientation of the right taillight of the Reed 2021 Lexus LX 570.
After considering these three different subjects that we discussed, the tech stream data, analyzing the touching between the defendant's Lexus and Mr. O'Keefe's car, and then your demonstrations regarding the injury to Mr. O'Keefe's right arm, did you consider further evidence in reaching any conclusions as an accident reconstructionist and a biomechanical engineer?
Yes, I did.
Could you turn us to slide 124, please?
So this is some of the location of the physical evidence. Red plastic, clear plastic. There, his point of rest was indicated to be 7 feet off the roadway. There was a sneaker that was found near the curb. There were various fragments of taillight found in the snow on the morning of the incident, as to the afternoon of the incident.
Could you zoom in on those photos so that we can see the
wasn't.
dates?
The date?
Yes.
Oh, sure. So January 29th at 5:46 p.m. This one's at 5:52. One's at 5:59. This one down here is at 546.
They didn't find those the day of the accident, did they?
So there were various fragments of the taillight.
They found those over the next 2 weeks.
Additional evidence was found. This is taken on the afternoon of the accident, again, around 5:50 p.m.
Could you zoom in, please, for us?
Sure. So what you see here is was later identified as Mr. O'Keefe's right shoe.
And this slide number, Dr. Welcher?
Yes, ma'am. 127.
Could you show us the time and date, please?
January 29th at 5:50 p.m.
Okay, somebody help me out. When did
So
they
a
find the
series of photographs. Again, you can see on the right-hand photograph that this is the roadway. This is the curb. The grass will be up towards the top of the right image on slide 127. The shoe is found, up against, in the roadway, up against the edge of the curb. Baseball hat. Again, acquired a same baseball hat. Baseball hat was also found in the snow.
So
You can
we know now
see-
he died in the snow.
I want you, before you move ahead, the baseball hat, could you give us a close-up view and also the date and time?
So that's where it's buried in the snow.
According to the defense.
These were taken on February 3rd. I'm not sure what time it was. There was also red liquid identified, I believe they indicated to be blood, in the snow as well.
And could you give us,
So I'm going to sustain that objection and strike the last part of
I
it. So we
understand.
don't need to come to decide about, right?
Just describe the color of what you saw rather than what it was.
There was red coloration in the snow.
And could you give us that date if it's different than February 3rd?
I thought that was February 3rd as well.
Is there a date on the photograph to the left?
I don't see one.
Okay. Do you know if those photos were taken by the Canton Police Department?
Sustain.
Uh,
Do you know when exactly those photos were taken?
I don't, except I have them dated as February 3rd. But I think that may just be the baseball hat photo.
Okay. Can you continue?
Quit leading.
Then we have photos of a broken glass. Surrounded by red marks in the snow.
Continue, please.
This, by the way, is the flagpole.
And that slide number, please, Dr.
Yes, ma'am, 129.
Thank you.
Slide 130.
Can you enlarge that and explain to us what that is?
Sure. So at the bottom, it indicates where it's from. So this was from a presentation I gave looking at pedestrian injury biomechanics back in 2005. And what it's showing is where what are the most common injuries in pedestrian impacts. So what it shows is head injuries are the most common injury in pedestrian impacts. So on the right-hand side, it's all injuries. You can see of all the individual studies, the highest prevalence or highest or most common injury was head injuries. In those that sustained severe life-threatening injuries, again, the highest was also head injuries. So head injuries are very commonly associated with pedestrian impacts. This is anatomical drawings just to help you understand the anatomy. The middle section here is from Mr. O'Keefe's autopsy report. The lower right diagram, the green line represents the fracture lines, predominantly here, at least in the base of the skull. So in the biomechanical and forensics just means the legal related, scientific industry, there's something called hat brim line or hat line analysis. And what it is it's looking at where the hat line, you can imagine, is where the brim of a hat would be. And what it is, it's literature that's looking at where head injuries from falls commonly occur.
Your Honor, I move to strike that.
I'll strike, I'm going to strike. I'm gonna strike,
Removed from the screen.
yes, yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So that was slide 131.
No, that was 132. I
Oh,
moved it
sorry.
because you said take it out of the screen.
Your Honor, one more request is to agree. Do not take that into consideration.
So, Jurors, when I strike something, that means don't pay any attention.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I didn't either, Judy. That's what I said.
Dr. Welcher.
That's not right.
So, Your Honor, I need to go past that slide.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
This is the next slide.
Okay, if you can continue.
Sure. So I provided peer-reviewed scientific literature that looked at a metric where they
didn't
were
find any taillight
publishing
until the next day. when they
research
seized the car.
trying to delineate falls
So that's
versus
correct.
blows or assaults. And so this metric,
See, that makes me mad because excuse me, they need to fix that because they did not find any tail light until they seized the car. I'm not saying anything about a conspiracy or anything about planted evidence. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they didn't find any tail light until after they seized her car. And that is a fact. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's a fact. And he just said they found taillight on the 29th, and they did not. They need to fix that.
is in that scientific literature. They looked at a total of 400 different events, 235 falls, 165 assaults. And so you can see where it says mandible. So mandible is your lower jaw.
Can you enlarge that a little bit, please?
Your Honor, pardon the interruption. I'm moving to strike.
Yeah, let's take that slide down and I'm going to see you at sidebar.
They found the glass, the cocktail glass under the snow where his body was. But they didn't find taillight pieces. They found the cocktail glass. And then they kept finding pieces of taillight for a week or two. I don't remember how long, but it was for days afterwards. They kept finding pieces of taillight. So that's wrong. I think they did say they found microscopic pieces of it in his clothing, though. That's the part that's always confused me. I still don't know how they found microscopic pieces of it in his clothes. Unless I'm trying to do this without giving in to the conspiracy theory. I was going to say, unless they planted those in his clothes before they got tested. They found the pieces of the cocktail glass with the leaf blower, not the tail light. They found the cocktail glass. But they didn't seize her car until the 30th. And that's when they changed the time that the car was seized. So it would look like it got seized at a later time than it did. And then they found the pieces of the taillight after the car had been seized. I didn't think they found any taillight at all until after the car was seized. Was it the taillight? I thought it was just the cocktail glass. Okay.
Mr. Alessi, Mr. Brennan is going to do this in open court. Just talk to Dr. Welcher for a minute, okay? Is there any objection?
I have no objection.
Okay, well then maybe I'm wrong. The defense didn't object. So maybe I am wrong, but I could have sworn it was just the cocktail glass that they found on the 29th. They didn't find any of the others till the 30th. Maybe I'm wrong. Because I'm
Yes.
pretty sure Alessi would have objected.
No talking, court still in session.
We're going to remove the heading on each one of the slides. I don't want to repeat what it says. And I'm going to now read this to see if there's anything else in the report.
Who was that next to Alessi?
So stats on page 124. Mr. Alessi.
I don't have.
It's hard to keep track of all, especially since this is the second trial.
Start now.
And I hope to God that there's not a third one. I hope
123.
if there's another hung jury, they're just going to say, oh, let's just let her go.
Yep.
Checking out what it is. I'm just going to-
Chrissy, do you need a break? Do you need 5 minutes? So if you could do that for us,
Absolutely.
Dr. Welcher.
I'm doing it right now.
We can bring the jurors back.
Your Honor, if we could just, now I just want to look at the rest.
Okay,
2 minutes, and then
Sure.
Your Honor asks us to do that.
sure.
I thought it was made out of, shoot, I forgot what it's called now. It's a really, really hard plastic. Oh, that might have been who that was.
Yeah, confer with Mr. Brennan at 1 point. Mr. Brennan, I ask you to approach you. Thank you.
Not on the record, Chris.
Yeah. Your Honor, Mr. Brennan is giving me permission to confer with Dr. Welcher about.
Sure, and it won't be on the record, right?
Yes.
Do we need it on the record?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Welcher,
Yes, sir.
please turn to slide 137. For that opportunity.
Jan, you struck one slide. I'm sorry.
I didn't strike we struck it subject to going back once the heading's gone, right?
Correct. There may be, depending upon what's in the video, there may be more. That's why.
Polycarbonate,
Right, but the
that's
ones. All right, so. we
So I can go back and show them.
Yes.
I don't want to offend the quarter.
Okay. So are we starting on slide 132?
132, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
May I inquire if Dr. Welch's PowerPoint is ready on the screen?
It looks like it's up. Is it ready, Dr. Welcher?
You got me scared when you asked me that. I need to double check. Yes, I believe I redacted everything. Thank you. And by the way,
It appears that way to me, Mr. Leslie. from here.
the battery died on this.
Okay, thank you.
Whoever in charge of. I mean, I brought my own, fortunately, but
Okay, thank you.
actually, I can't find my.
Oh, Ms. Gilman has one.
Oh, backup. All right.
Troy.
Equally bad. These laser pointers do not work on those monitors.
Yeah, we've had that too.
anything now, please.
Dr. Welcher, if you could return to slide 132. Actually, 133, Dr. Wells.
Is that me or? $132 or $133?
133, please. The next one after that.
So we did skip over 132.
We skipped over that one as well. Keep going. Here we go. If you can enlarge that just a little bit for us.
Sure.
Now, you mentioned that there was studies that talked about guiding the difference between potential injuries.
Correct.
Can you explain that?
Sure. So I gave 3 papers and someone's dissertation on this issue. They were creating a analysis methodology to differentiate whether the nature and pattern of injuries are more consistent with a fall or more consistent with an assault, or they're calling it blows.
Okay, could you walk us through what this chart means?
Sure. So this is their flow chart in terms of their assessment. So it starts at the very top. You can see they analyze a total of 400 events, 235 falls, 165 blows or assaults. So what you do is you ask yourself on the first set of arrows, you look at the mandible, the jaw. And MRS, as you can see at the bottom down here, refers to a simple fracture or multiple fractures. A is no fracture. Mr. O'Keefe has no mandible fracture. So that means we go down this row. It then looks at all facial fractures. So these are the bones that constitute the face. So if you have a facial fracture, you go to your left. If you have no facial fracture, you go to the right. So if you have some event, no mandible fracture, no facial fracture, what they've indicated that is predominantly associated with falls and not assaults.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
In addition, did you do any further study on the force of a person falling back and landing on their head?
Oops, I did.
Could you
So what I did was I did what are called drop test. I took an anthropomorphic test device, ATD, which is just a fancy name for a crash test dummy, and dropped it backwards onto a hard surface to look at what happens if you were to, say, fall backwards and hit your head onto a hard surface. So on this particular photograph of Mr. O'Keefe in the upper left, there's noted to be abrasions above the fracture line in the area. You can't see that at all. You can see noted to be abrasions right here. Your Honor, I brought a hat. That was the one I used in my testing. May I put it on and demonstrate something?
Mr. Lessie,
If you would like a sidebar, or I can.
are you objecting?
I am objecting.
That's sustained. No, you can't put it on.
Okay, so I will show you the dummy test I did. Watch when the shoulders hit the ground and the head hits the ground. It creates kind of an arc path that will drag and slide objects up the head. So if you have something such as a baseball hat, it'll cause it to drag across the scalp, dragging it up to a similar location to where these abrasions are. So here's the testing. Again, this is like the crash test dummies you see on television.
It's
This is
Buster.
myself. They're giving me similar instructions, telling them what we're going to do. I said, and watch. Shoulders come in, then the head contacts the ground. What you see is if you fall backwards and land on a very hard surface or hard surface, you'll get extremely high loads on the head.
Does he have an accelerometer on his head?
If you compare that to data in the science,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Enlarge that, please explain what the chart is before you explain.
oh, sure. This chart up here,
Nope, on the next page.
right,
You can enlarge it, tell us what it is before you get into the details.
absolutely. So this is actually kind of a famous study that was published, one of the first studies looking at head fracture or skull fracture tolerances. So what you see, the portion at the back of your skull is called the occiput bone. So that bone, if you put your hand on the back of your head, is your occiput. So we're looking at occiput impacts. And what you can see is that when they took cadaver skulls and dropped them from as low as 40 inches onto a hard surface, they were getting linear fractures. And you can see even at 40 inches, there is called a stellate fracture. Stellate means star-like. You get a fracture that goes out like a star. So even at a 40-inch drop height, you have sufficient force when landing on a hard surface to cause skull fracture and a level 3 type skull fracture. So Mr. O'Keefe, again, is 73 inches tall. His occiput is about 4.6 inches down from the top of his skull. That means it would fall a total of about 73 minus 5 would be 68. So just under 6 feet. So 72, 4 inches under, so 5 foot, 8 inches is the fall height. What is data showing that even at a fall height as low as 40 inches onto a hard surface, you can get fairly severe skull fractures.
Pretty girl.
Thank you. Dr. Welcher, regarding your third part of your analysis, did you come to a conclusion to a reasonable degree of engineering uncertainty whether or not the defendant's Lexus collided with Mr. John O'Keefe on the evening of January 29, 2022, around 12:32 a.m.?
Yes.
Before you give me your opinion, I'd like you to share with the jury what that opinion is based on.
Sure. So it's based on the 130 slides you've seen, based on my personal inspection of the Lexus, the correlation of the text stream data with the infotainment data, as well as Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone data. It's looking at, I guess, where the taillight wasn't broken. It's looking at the physical evidence at the scene in terms of taillight fragments, glass fragments, red color in the snow. We have the cell phone data, the location and position of the arm lacerations, the air temperature at the time indicative of sufficient to freeze, the location of the fracture on the back of his head relative to the scientific literature, my testing of forces available falling onto a hard surface, published science on the fracture forces associated with falls. And, I'm sorry, I'm reading from my report. I'm reading from my report.
Can you answer without reading from your report?
Probably it's more complete if I read my report.
The objection, Mr. Leslie?
I do on this question, Your Honor, reading from a report for this question. So I'm hearing questions and data.
So, try not to read, don't read from your report.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Welcher, let me ask you again. Based on your analysis, data available, reviews, study, based on the fact that you are an accident reconstructionist and a biomedical engineer, have you reached an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty whether the defendant's Lexus struck Mr. John O'Keefe on January 29, 2022, around 12:32 a.m.?
Yes.
And could you share the bases of your opinion before I ask you your ultimate opinion?
Sure. So again, you've seen my slide presentation. I've inspected the Lexus. I've looked at where it wasn't damaged.
I get why he did that. I just hope that the jury understands and doesn't think he's being petty, because that does seem kind of petty. Like if you don't understand why he's not allowed to read from his report.
Damaged. I've inspected the taillight. I got an exemplar Lexus. I ran lower speed contacts to verify that the injury pattern and location on the arm is consistent with the height and orientation of the taillight. I have looked at fracture tolerance data for falling backwards onto hard surfaces. I've looked at the metrics of where his injuries were and what injuries he didn't sustain. I've looked at the cell phone data, and then I've looked at Miss Reed's interviews as well.
Based on all the evidence you considered, could you share about whether the defendant's Lexus struck Mr. O'Keefe on January 29, 2022, around 12:32 a.m.?
Objection, Your Honor.
Go to 11.
I can answer. Yes, based on the totality of the evidence, DNA, everything I've talked about, that is consistent with that happening, and with a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that is what happened.
Objection, move to strike, Your
So
Honor.
I'm gonna strike that. I wanna see counsel's out just.
Wait, did she sustain that? It's a reasonable degree of guessing certainty. Because I only guessed where he might have been standing. The sad part is we're never going to know what really happened. But if I was a juror, the evidence that would most influence me would be, how come nobody saw him on the lawn? If she hit him, why did nobody see him on the lawn? It wasn't blizzard strength. He wasn't completely covered with snow when everybody left the party. They should have seen him in the yard. If Jen was up and down to go into the door to look, she would have seen him. She saw everywhere that Karen moved to her vehicle. Saw every glasses, the goofy looking guy all the way to the right. Why isn't Aiden there? Peggy's not there today either. She was there earlier, wasn't? That and the fact that nobody came out of the house when all the commotion was going on in their front yard, those two things are sketchy to me. Like, no. And if you're having a party, you got a house full of people and there's a car accident on your front yard, you're going to hear something. And you're going to notice it, especially if it's somebody that's supposed to be coming to your party. I just know if I had been Jim McCabe, I would have marched my butt out to the car and said, "What are you doing? Come on in." Only she didn't have to because he did go in the house. She just lying. How does he keep winning the lottery and Aiden doesn't? Who is letting him in, basically, and not wanting Aiden to be in there? It's ridiculous. So is Aiden live streaming it when he's not in the courtroom?
Dr. Will, you have to come back anyway. Okay, so those same cautions, please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know, and please be very careful with your social media use. So we'll see you tomorrow. Oh, I'm sorry, we're starting an hour late tomorrow, is that what this is?
Yes.
So, we'll start at 10 o'clock tomorrow. I forgot about this. So we'll see you at 10 o'clock. The court officers will tell you about your specific directions.
Let's wait just in case. There probably won't be anything. They will just hit somewhere, but
All right, do I need to pack all this up? It's okay. I mean, I can come in early. I came in early this morning and set up.
Welcome. I mean, we don't really want it.
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right.
Should Dr. Welcher leave?
Dr. Welcher can step down. I know he has to come back and have his,
Just leave everything here.
and then you'll come back in 5 minutes.
Roger.
All right. Yes, please.
wait, and it'll come back in 5 minutes.
All right, so Mr. Alessi, I will hear you as to your objection.
What? Oh, there is more. Okay. Oh, settle back and keep crocheting.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you like me to go to the podium or stand?
Right there's fine, and let's try and wrap it. This all up by 4 because I've already heard you at sidebar.
We'll do so, Your Honor.
That means both of you I'll hear from within the next 5 minutes. Go ahead,
It's
Mr.
after
Alessi.
4.
Thank you, Your Honor. The point number one is the question of whether, based upon a reasonable degree of scientific or engineering certainty, he has an opinion whether a collision occurred.
He's
I'm gonna give
guessing.
a dramatic and accurate example that happens in courts all the time with equivalent. So by analogy, if the issue is whether or not a defendant has stabbed an individual and caused a certain event, that is the ultimate question for the jury. That question is never permissible in a trial. By analogy, this is the exact analogous situation. The question of whether there was a collision is the ultimate question for the jury. That is why we are having this trial. The defense strongly asserts there was no collision, and there is substantial evidence to that. We are going to cross-examine Dr. Welcher. We are going to put in our own strong case to demonstrate no collision occurred. That's no surprise. It was in our opening statement. This witness cannot, by precedent for years, opine on the ultimate question that is going to the jury. I accept, subject to evidentiary issues, the two questions that a biomechanist always answers in these situations. Is the damage to the vehicle consistent with a pedestrian hitting the vehicle? And are the injuries to the individual consistent with being hit by a motor vehicle? Those are the questions that are permissible, not the collision question. It is resoundingly improper in this trial, in any trial where that is the ultimate conclusion for the jury. Yes, an expert can offer opinions, but every expert is bounded by the extent of their opinion, and that opinion on whether collision would invade the.
All right, Mr. Brennan.
So what Mr. Lisi is arguing is that in their opening statement, they repeatedly invaded the province of the jury because they must have asserted vehemently over and over again there was no collision, over and over and over again. And he just told you that when his expert takes the stand, they'll have abundant evidence that there was no collision. This case is about the collision, but that is not the ultimate issue. The ultimate issue is manslaughter or mens rea for second-degree murder, not collision. They don't get to define the prosecution's case. They do not get to define or limit the prosecution's opinions. They have no case law. They have no study. They have no jurisdiction or jurisprudence to say what we are limited to. He's entitled to an opinion. His opinion is not limited to whether or not the defendant struck Mr. O'Keefe. That evidence is obvious. It's not whether or not there's damage to the car or Lexus. That evidence is obvious. He also is an enormous part of a biomedical engineer and an accident reconstructionist. He studied the tech stream data. They didn't, he did. And he's entitled to give an opinion. The tech stream data, based on fact and science and data, tells us when, if you put it together with other evidence, and where, when you contribute it with other evidence, this collision actually occurred. We don't have to play peekaboo and close our eyes to the reality of the fact that the evidence supports the conclusion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty that the defendant struck Mr. O'Keefe with her Lexus in front of Fairview Road. I am not interjecting the defendant. I always refer to her car, so it is sanitized, her Lexus. I've been careful about that. I don't have to, but I'm very careful about it. He is relying on the tech stream data, the physical evidence, his independent studies. He is allowed to offer an opinion about whether the injuries are consistent with the damage to the car, whether the damage to the car is consistent with the injury to Mr. O'Keefe. And he's also allowed to answer, in his opinion, the issue of a collision, putting aside the fact that that was emphasized and repeated in the opening statement, and it's going to happen again when other people testify. It's
Brennan
not
is
our
pissed
fault that ARCA didn't testify or look into the tech stream data, or they don't have an expert for it. It doesn't belittle or limit that evidence. We expect to ask Dr. Welcher, does he have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty whether the defendant's Lexus collided with Mr. O'Keefe on January 29, 2022, around 12:32 a.m. That is one of the opinions we're going to ask him, nothing to do with the ultimate opinion of guilt or innocence, or whether it's manslaughter or there's mens rea for second-degree murder.
And what was your second? You said that's one of the opinions you're going to ask him. What else are you
I
looking
will
at?
also ask him about the consistent with, whether the injuries are consistent with.
With what?
I'm going to ask him after this part about the difference between a clip or a side swipe as opposed to a full-on injury, pedestrian collision from a front or back of a bumper. And there are further slides to emphasize that point. And so there'll be an opinion regarding that as well.
And you,
Consistency with a side swipe or a clip.
okay, so this is not the end of Dr. Welch's testimony. He's just moving on to another area.
It's close, but it's not the end.
Okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
Your Honor, here's a case. Attorney Brennan said, go to case law, here it is. Commonwealth v. Coleman, 366 Mass 705. And it stands for the proposition exactly that I articulated. I won't repeat it. Secondly, Your Honor, we practice what we preach. I have the ARCA report right in front of me. And I have the report of.
Is that a new one or is that
This is the new one.
okay.
It's also, the old one is the same. So I can, either one is the same. They do not, Mr. Brennan incorrectly said what our experts are going to do. I don't know why he did that, because he has these in writing.
Oh, you know why he did that, Alessi.
Dr. Wolf or Dr. Rentschler talk about a collision or conclusion. It's consistency. It's those two questions I said at sidebar. And for reference, Your Honor, for the most recent, is page 15. There is no.
I don't have that report, so I'd like a copy of that report.
Your Honor, a copy, and I also, Your Honor, refer Your Honor to ARCA's existing report, which I'm going to do from memory. I think is February of 2024, that was done for the U.S. Department of Justice and FBI, where they basically said and gave opinions on those two items I spoke to you at sidebar. So Attorney Brennan is incorrect when he says what our experts are going to say or not. We've already committed in writing to what they're going to say. We're consistent. We practice what we preach.
All right. So we will We'll discuss this tomorrow before we start. I'll tell you my ruling tomorrow before we start. I need to go back and see what exactly came in to evidence today. All right, so I'll see you in the morning.
All right, so floor, please.
Seriously. Good Lord. Woman. Does she ever roll from the bench? Ever? Okay. Yay. Yay, the boring is over. But we have more boring tomorrow. And then we have a Lessie. Yay, we have Lessie. But I didn't start till 10. But hey, Rodney, look at your green. Yes, and they practice what they preach. So Is that why she never makes a decision from the bench? She needs her liquid courage. Okay, so we'll get to make up for the Phil Spector that we missed today. So we'll do Phil from 8 to 10 in the morning, and then we will do this at 10. And we'll get to hear Alessi kick some butt tomorrow. Yay! So, I'm so sorry. We're done, Rodney. You just got here, but we're done. We missed you. Okay, guys. I need to do another members only, but I don't know what to do it on. What do you guys want to hear or see or do, or I don't know. We can try to play what's the name of that game? Jackbox. I think I have 3 games. 3 Jackbox games. The only problem is if StreamYard misbehaves, it screws it up because then there's lag, and I mean, we can try, but you guys be thinking about what you want to do. I mean, it could be just like a hangout, just hang out and talk and ask questions or tell stories or what. I don't know. Just think about it. I'll make a post where you guys can give suggestions or something. Harry Potter trivia. Yeah, we can do that. That'll work. I'll make a post. You guys can give me suggestions on what to do. I don't know. Oh, hey, Joanne. You are welcome. Jackbox is fun. The only thing you have to have for it to be really fun, You have to have a lot of people. I played it once, like before I had members, and it was just like me and Flash, and it wasn't that fun because there's just two people. I don't know. I seriously have no idea. I mean, we did like Karen Reed stuff coming up to this trial. We did Shanna Gardner stuff, but did we do that members only, or did we just do that? I don't remember. And I like Alita did when she did Fight Club. It was just like ask me anything, kind of a just get together and talk and stuff. Peter does different stuff, like sports stuff, like fantasy football, and I don't know, pickleball stuff. I'm not into sports, so I don't know. I keep wanting to do theme parks, but crap keeps happening. I keep getting canceled on going to them or hurt myself. I tried to videotape that water slide. It didn't work. Which had nothing to do with the fact that I got hurt. It started off because I had my phone in a little waterproof thing on a lanyard. It started off, all you could see was the sky. I guess because I was leaning back. So you got the sky. And then I guess when I went forward, I must have been turned a little bit because then the rest of it, all you could see was the side of the slide. You are a member. What do you mean your phone won't let you be a member? You're already a member. You're green. And then at the very end, the raft dumped us over. It literally just dumped us over and dumped us out. So the last part of the video is just underwater. And a lot of purple, because my bathing suit's purple, obviously. So, yeah, we pretty much hang in the same circle. So, like, we know each other from all over the place. So the video was pretty useless. Oh, wait. Oh, they're still on my phone, though. I'll show you. Let me see. This was after I hurt myself. So I actually look pretty happy for being in this much pain. That picture came out really, really well. And no, don't delete it. I like this picture. I have lost so much weight, you guys. I look so much smaller in that picture compared to how I used to look. I just cannot tell you the difference. It's just unbelievably different how much different I look. My bathing suit is an extra large. Okay, that's the blue the big blue tube. That's the slide. We were waiting in line. I tried to record it. It didn't work. And that was in the lazy river. He was behind me pushing me, and I made him stop under the bridge so I could see my phone. And I made a little video under the waterfall too, but I didn't come out good, so I deleted it. And this, although you really can't see, well, I'm going to enlarge it. This was outside because this congratulations on the channel present. Cool. You can't do it from the app. You have to go to like a web browser on a phone to do it. This is on the outside of the is that a lizard or a stick? This water park is associated with Margaritaville, which started in the Keys. Jimmy Buffett started the Margaritaville resorts. And this is outside as you're waiting in line. Instead of like flower beds, they have palm tree beds filled with these. These are coquina shells. And you only find them in the Keys. And I was like, oh, cool. I took a picture of them and I sent it to my cousin. And I was like, look at all the coquina shells. I bet you nobody knows what they are. None of these people probably knows. That's okay, Joanne. We're fixing to quit for the day, actually. I was like, I bet nobody knows what these things are. Nobody knows what they are. My brother used to make, I don't want to call them wind chimes because they didn't make sound. But they're teeny tiny, they're like mollusks. Let me go let Bill back in. Hang on. Actually, come to think about it, they might. I think I did find them when we lived in Sarasota. I think I did find them on the beach in Sarasota. So it's probably not just the Keys. It's probably South Florida. But like you don't find them on the beaches up this way. But they're little mollusks. They look like teeny tiny baby clams. They're literally teeny tiny clams. They look like clams, but they're not clams. They're called coquinas. My brother would collect them and clean them out. He'd get a piece of driftwood, like a skinny, like stick looking like piece of driftwood. He would clean it up, sand it down, shellac it. He would drill holes, teeny tiny holes through the driftwood, and he would put them through the coquina shells and take fishing line and hang them in a row from the driftwood. And then he would take, instead of breaking them apart, he would clean them out and keep them together and open them up flat like wings and glue them onto the driftwood and then hang the separated ones at the bottom. And it was like a little decoration to hang. And he made those and sold them when he wasn't even a kid, because he's like 20 years older than me, my oldest brother. And he got in a like making shell decoration thing phase. He'd go to the beach and he'd collect coquina shells and bring them home and just make a bunch of. So when I saw the shells, I was like, oh, cool, look at all the coquina shells. I wonder how many of these people really know what they're walking on, you know? They're like, oh, look, shells. But I was excited when I saw the coquina shells. I was like, this place is legit. And then I hurt myself on the slide. It's probably a perfectly good water park. It was a fun slide. I got air and my butt bumped against the slide to the point that I was in severe pain. Like I said, if we had done the other slides first, I probably would have been fine if we left that one to last. But it was so steep, I got air and then I bumped my butt on the slide. But yeah, I like Typhoon Lagoon much better. We enjoyed Volcano Bay a lot too, but I didn't do the slides at Volcano Bay because that was back before we got my back straightened out, and I was in so much pain all day long. But the girls went with us, and they did the slides with Travis, so that was cool. I didn't have to worry about him being bored because they did the slides with him. And I did the wave pool, and I did the lazy river, and I did the rapid river, whatever it's called. There's a name for it. They have everything's Hawaiian themed at Volcano Bay. I did go up inside the volcano. The volcano has it's not all steps. They have like ramps you can walk up to go up in the, so it's not that bad. But the drop slides are up there. I ain't going down a drop slide. You're not dropping the ground out from beneath my feet. I'm not doing that. No, absolutely not. Travis doesn't like those kind of slides either. I'm not doing it. Push me down. A gently sloping slide and I will do it. Don't, nuh-uh. And no more big, steep drops on a raft anymore either, because I'm not bumping my butt on a slide like that ever again. Never, ever, ever, ever. But I'm almost back to normal. I'm not quite as sore as I was. Not even as sore as I was this morning. So, yes, don't forget to hit the like button, everybody. I'm so glad that you are all here. Thank you so much for all the gifted memberships. You guys are amazing. And unfortunately, I have nothing else to show you or talk about or anything. So I'm going to go. You guys start thinking about what you want to do for members only, so I can make your memberships worthwhile, because otherwise it doesn't mean anything. Travis watches, his name's Doug. I don't know the name of his channel. It's something to do with the Miami Dolphins. And like he watches, because we don't have TV anymore. We just have YouTube and a couple of streaming services. Neither one has football on it. And so Doug watches the Miami Dolphins and then like announces the game, you know? So Travis watches him. And so he's live streaming, but Travis doesn't chat. He's not a member, you know, he doesn't do any of this, like the normal YouTube stuff with the guy. So I'm trying to explain chatting and memberships and monetization and all that to Travis. And he's like, well, why join? What do you get if you join? So I'm like, well, you get your name turned green. And he's like, that's it. I said, well, no, it depends on the creator. Sometimes you get members only videos. If the chat is busy and it gets put on slow mode, you're not subject to slow mode. But most of the time, people just like their name to be green. He's like, what? People pay for their name to just be green? I was like, yeah. He goes, you're kidding me. I was like, nope. People just like for their name to be green. Yeah, and the cool emojis. Forgot it. Yeah, I forgot about the emojis. We get cool emojis too. So I got to do another members only, because you guys got to get your money's worth. Your whole 99 cents worth. But I got to do another members live. I just don't know what to do it on. Okay, guys. I love y'all. Be kind to people. Love your family. Jesus loves you. And so do I. I will see you in the morning. Bye, guys. Have a good evening.